Hi, this is David from Electric Teaching, and I'm going to start my new video series. This is going to be a video series on using Python and Pygame to make your own personal grapher. I'm combining some of the ideas that I've done before in the quadratic grapher video series that is on my YouTube channel, and I'm trying to extend it to something beyond what I've done before, and so that you can graph everything, not just a parabola. Here's an example of what we're going to get in the final run. It's a little bit wider than the video screen, so I'm showing you the grid over here, and then the information is on the right. As it says, you can enter in an equation, so let's just make this simple. I'll do x plus 2, and it graphs x plus 2, and it asks you a bunch of other things, some follow-up stuff. We'll be able to resize it into different size grids, as it says here. So let me show you. If I hit the M, it shrinks it, or L and O, or back to the S to get back to the standard. It'll plot the y-intercept, just a basic idea, kind of almost unnecessary, but I like this little thing as an example of how to do code of placing a circle on a graph, etc. And I can even enter in x values and have it calculate it. For instance, I could have x equal 3, punch in 3 and hit enter, and it'll plot the point and show me the results. You can add a graph. Let's add maybe x squared minus 4, just to give you an idea. And there's a parabola down 4, as I like to say, and showing you that you can put in multiple graphs. You can even restart the whole process over by hitting N. It'll always show you the last graph right here, and I think that's the basics. Um, the reason I believe that everybody will really enjoy this program and how to make your own personal grapher, and I say everybody, but the reality is what I think is a lot of math and science teachers and math and science career-minded people would love to have their own personal grapher instead of always using some online graphing tool of somebody else's. Uh, Besides that, you're going to learn how to manipulate circles, draw on only parts of the screen, draw lines, and use some good programming skills along the way. This is going to be, somewhere between a beginner and intermediate programming level idea. I've started a new file. I started a new file here. File, new window, from the shell. I am using 2.54. I like this version because I have the ability to turn what I do into executables. For instance, I've made an executable of my own personal grapher. And just to show you an idea of how I've used my own personal grapher, over here on my website that I maintain, it's a math graphing website. And I'll show you real quick how I've done my own graphs now inside of this math puzzle website that I've made. This is the electric teaching site that I sometimes refer to in my video sequence. So if you're a math teacher, this is also an excellent way of keeping graphs fresh. And now I'm using the graphs and on my web page instead of using others. So this is an example of how you can use your graphs. Okay, let's get started. Always like to label what I'm doing. So basically I'm making my own personal grapher. I'm David at Electric Teaching, as I say, so I'll start it off with that. And basically what I'm doing here is just my own grapher. By the way, grapher is not actually a word in the English dictionary, as I keep learning when my spell checker goes off. Keep that in mind. Um, First thing we're going to do is we're going to import and set up variables. We're going to import Pygame. Down the road, we'll have to import math for doing the math functions. And we're going to set up all our variables outside of any kind of function. This way I don't have to globalize these variables and I don't have to pass them into other functions. If I put any type of variable assignment outside my main functions or any type of functions I make, they will not need to be globalized and I will not have to pass them. So, all right, little comments here. Import Pygame. Import Pygame. One of the things I always do from after this is from Pygame, import asterisk shift 8. It basically seems redundant, but it makes sure that I bring everything out of Pygame and to accessible points basically in the programming. I'm going to set up some fonts and some colors so that I don't have to remember the RGBs for the colors, and I can use the fonts then, these font variables, to display text on the screen. So let's go font Pygame dot font dot. I'm going to use a system font here, so make sure it's capital SYS, capital FONT, parentheses, and as you can see, it's asking me what to do with this. And I'm going to put in a Verdana. I can never make sure. I never understand exactly how to say that word. I'm going to guess Verdana, and make sure you use a capitals VERDANA. This one will be a size 16. Make sure you close the quote, then comma, then the size 16. I'm going to make a second font. I'll just call it font 2. Also a Pygame library, font, sys, font, parentheses. And this one will be a serif font, so capital S. Oh, got to put it in quotes. Capital SERIF, serif font. Close quotes, comma. I'm going to make this one a little bit bigger. This will be for my title. Make sure you close parentheses as well. Let's set up the white color. So we're going to go white is equal to, you can do brackets or parentheses here and make it a tuple. I'm going to keep it in parentheses just like I do in most of the time I code. Okay, and white is 255, comma 255, comma 255. Those are the RGBs for that. And again, that's basically like not letting any light through and leaving white on the page is the best way to explain it. Black is the opposite. That's 0, 0, 0, so black equal parentheses 0, 0, 0, 0, comma separated. Make sure you close parentheses, and again that's letting all the color through, which turns everything to black basically. I'm going to make another variable here called graph color, and this is how you're going to be able to easily personalize your own grapher here. Is that simply changing the color at this point with the variable. You'll be able to change the graph color whenever you're using the program. This one we're going to start off at 200, comma, at least I am personally, 0, comma, 200. It's basically a nice purple, so I'll put a little note here that this is purple. Use the hash mark or the shift 3 pound sign is sometimes I call it. And then I'm also going to have a grid color so that you can personalize your grid color as well. Grid color, I'm choosing a excuse me, a light blue. That kind of reminds me of the old, I guess, Mead notebook style graph paper. They were always this light blue when I was growing up. So I found a color that represents that. I'll just put a little note here. This is light blue color. And again, you can choose your own colors here. Okay, so I'm looking at my time. I've got about 9 minutes into this video. So I need to get to the point where I can just set up the rest of this Pygame to show me a window and then basically have the ability to close down. So this is standard Pygame stuff from right here on. Okay, I always like to use variables, so I'm going to do width, comma, and height. Can assign two variables simultaneously, comma separated. Width and height equal to, I prefer this to be about 600, comma 600, but for the video purposes, I've noticed it's really hard for you to see what I'm doing, so I'm going to do a 500, comma 500. Again, changing the size of the width and height is your own personal choice. One thing to note, whenever you set up the grid, you've got to make sure that the grid K's, and you'll know what that means later, the grid K variable is a factor of your width and height, and I'll explain that more later. Setting up the rest of basic stuff here, we're going to do another variable. I'm going to use something called extra W. I'll call this one extra W to give me some room on the right side of the graph. As you saw in the beginning, I had a blank white space on the right side of the graph. I'm going to make it 400 pixels. Let's do a screen equal. I'm going to type quickly and talk quickly here. I've assumed you may have done this stuff before, so hopefully you have. Pygame dot display dot set mode parentheses. And what we're going to do here is this sets up a screen, a window on your screen, basically. The screen word is my variable choice. I'm using that. I often use that word. Width plus the extra width. I'll help you make sense of that in a second. And height. Close parenthesis once for the inside part. Close parenthesis again. It's actually expecting, I think, another piece of information after that, so you have to have a parentheses on the inside and outside. It'll default stuff that is not included after it. So there might be something like comma separated a 1 here, but I don't need to put it, and Pygame will understand what to do there. A little quick lesson on how Pygame works, and if you get an error there because you don't have the parentheses. Let's see, Pygame, one of the things I like to do is put a little title. And I looked up and noticed we have not saved ours. That's very important. We should always save right off the bat. I'm going to do that in a second. Pygame.display. You can see Pygame's library is pulled up. It's asking what you want to do out of it. Dot set underscore caption. And this basically puts a title in the window. And I'm going to call this, my own personal grapher. Something to that effect. Make up a title on your own. I recommend almost everything in green is your choice when we do Pygame and Python lessons. And let's fill the whole thing white right now. So what we're going to do is we're going to do a screen dot fill dot, and since we've used the variable, all I have to do is type in white. This way I don't have to worry about syntax errors with losing parentheses, messing up the numbers and the commas, etc. All right. We need to start off with some sort of main program, so we're going to do define. I'm going to call this my main. This is a name I choose to use. You can choose to use your own name of this function. Just make sure whenever you call it up, you know what you've named it. Make sure you put in a colon when you hit return. Python wants to be indented for anything that belongs inside of the previous instruction. And so now that I'm making a set of instructions for my main function here, excuse me, we will, sorry, I lost my train of thought. Everything on the inside needs to come in, needs to be tabbed over. It'll automatically tab over if you've hit a colon in return. Remember, Python does not have a lot of syntax that you have to worry about compared to a lot of other programs, but you definitely need to get this part done. So let's just make this window open and close with this main. And simply what I'm going to do is make a variable called active. I like to use the word active when I'm setting up an infinite loop, and then I assign the word true to it. I'm going to start an infinite loop that I'll close when I feel like it. That's kind of what we do in programming. We make a loop run forever or until we say to stop running, and that's exactly what I'm doing right now. This instruction will loop as fast as the computer can go through these instructions over and over and over again while the word active is true. I could put a phrase here that says active double equal true, but there's no reason to. This basically says while true when you use the variable substituted. Again, colon, hit return, it should tab inside. You always need a Pygame display update, Pygame display dot update. This basically refreshes the screen over and over and over again as fast as the computer can go. Little comment here, we're going to put in some keyboard, and mouse actions. If we do put mouse actions, sometimes I do, sometimes I don't, but I always put that comment together. And remember, everything in red is not read by the computer. Pardon the play with words there. All right, for event in Pygame dot event dot get, and parentheses, whenever you use parentheses open and close, it's a function, this time a function within the Pygame library, colon, hit return. This is a basic way of just asking what is going on with all keyboard actions and mouse actions. And so this is a loop within a loop that's going infinitely or until we tell it to stop. That's asking over and over and over again, has anybody hit the keys? In this case, we're going to say if the event.type double equal, whoops, double equal is a Pygame dot all caps QUIT all caps QUIT colon. So this is asking, hey, is the mouse movement, in this case I am using a mouse action here, closing? Look up here in the upper right of the video. This X up here is the mouse Pygame or the mouse action in the Pygame library called quit. So if that actually happens, oops, caught a misspelling. That's supposed to be event. Glad I caught that. Then what we're going to do is simply say active is now false. So we're going to assign the variable active to be false. It will basically loop back up and then not come into this while loop. So what I'm now going to do is hit return a couple of times and backspace over and get lined up perfectly so that I'm out of the loop. Just like an outline on an English paper, if you're not tabbed into this, you are not in the loop or in this for loop or in this if statement, or for that matter, in the function. So I don't want to back up too far because I want to be in the function, my main still. I hope that makes sense. There's your introductory lessons on how Python basically works without syntax. So if there's only one thing left to do here, and that's kind of what I write in my comments. Only thing left to do is if we've exited here is to quit. Only thing left to do is quit. So what we're going to do is, I need to do something to get so that you can see the screen here. Apologize. Okay, tab over. What we're going to do here is just simply do a Pygame command, a Pygame library command called quit, Q-U-I-T, Q-U-I-T, parentheses, open, close. Technically, just if you want to get technical, every time I put a Pygame library in front now, it may not be necessary because of this line up here, from Pygame import everything. So that allows you to type in less information. For instruction, and because I am a teacher and I tend to do it this way, I like leaving the library name right here so I know where I'm grabbing it from. I think that's important. Okay, let's see, hit return. Now, get out of the main, my main. Get out of the function my main. Okay, this is a Python's, just putting a little comment here, Python's way of running a program. So the way programs in general run, and specifically Python does, I need to make some more room here, please excuse me. I want to make sure you can see this. So the program basically reads everything in here first. It imports, sets up some variables, gets into this loop, goes forever and ever and ever, shows a window until I close this, window down, or until I close it down. And then the program will end. And the way it's called up, because it reads everything along the way, is this kind of boilerplate way of calling it up. It's an if. Make sure you put a space in. A lot of my students forget the space. If space double underscore name double underscore double equal quote double underscore main. That's basically calling up what's the main function here. Double underscore quote colon, and then call up what function we've made. And so now that it has my main in its memory, we simply call up my main. Okay, I'm way past time. Let's see. I usually like to keep this under 15 minutes. I'm running it, go up to 20 here. So let's try running it real quick. Oh, we didn't save it. I forgot to save it. That is very important. I need to find my folder that I'm going to start this video series in. It's just up one little bit here. Video lesson. And I'm going to call this, let's see, grapher.py. Make sure you do .py. Without the .py, things do not work. And also make sure you know where you put it. Save it. Hopefully it runs, and I've got an error. I'm going to pause the video and find out where the error is. Okay, I'm back. Sorry about that. And I always, just in case you don't know this, in all my video series, I like to make mistakes. I don't do them intentionally, but I like to make mistakes so that you can learn how to fix your own mistakes. I think that's a very large part of learning how to program is tracking down your own mistakes. You can see the error I got set over here, and I'm showing you what error I got, and you probably got the same error, amongst others maybe, I don't know, that the font was not initialized. And I realized that I forgot a very important thing back over here, pygame dot ni, init, parentheses open, parentheses close, calling out an initializing function from the Pygame library. Very important you do that in all your Python and Pygame codes. And now if you run it, you'll get a blank screen that is basically 400 pixels or 500 pixels down and 900 pixels across, so it's going off the video a little bit. You can see that I have a title, and the title is exactly what I put in my quotes. And if I close by hitting the red bar, it simply, the red exit, it will close. So now we're ready to go. Let's put in our grid in our next video series. I'm David from Electric Teaching, and I hope you're enjoying this.